thoughts.
Yeah.
But it's also too, I want to get myself together though.
Which is much more important.
Yeah, I really want to.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis, one of boxing's brightest stars, has been making headlines recently, not just for his performances in the ring, but for his candid reflections on his career and future. Lately, he's been wrestling with complex emotions, feeling a mix of exhaustion, determination, and a desire for something more outside the sport he's dominated. "I do be having no thoughts sometimes," he admitted in his characteristically raw and unfiltered way. "But it's also like I want to get myself together, you know? That's what's more important to me right now. I really want to get myself together, not retire, but just take a break." For Davis, the idea of stepping away isn't about walking off into the sunset for good. It's about hitting pause, recalibrating, and rediscovering himself beyond the gloves and the spotlight. This sentiment became clearer after his fight against Roach. In the aftermath, he opened up about how draining the sport can be, both physically and mentally. He's been at it for years. Training camps, media obligations, the constant pressure to perform, and it's taken a toll. "It's not even about proving myself to y'all," he said, addressing both fans and critics alike. "It's about proving it to me, you feel me? I love the game, don't get me wrong. I ain't going to lie. I've been feeling like I've been on my grind lately, especially since that Roach fight. Yet, despite his passion, there's an undeniable weariness creeping in. He's not ready to hang up the gloves permanently, but the idea of stepping back is definitely on his mind." Davis has been clear that this isn't a full retirement announcement. "I've been saying I want to take a break, not retire immediately," he emphasized in a recent conversation. "It's close, for sure, but I just need to step back for a little bit and focus on me personally," Davis explained. "I've been doing this for so long, and I want to give myself a break. Focus on me as a human being, as a father, as a son, you know, things like that." It's a relatable sentiment for anyone who's ever felt burned out, and for a fighter like Davis, undefeated, unblemished, and still in his prime. It's a bold admission of vulnerability. The boxing world has been buzzing about his comments, especially since his career is at a crossroads, with some massive fights still on the table. After the Roach bout, names like Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, and even Teofimo Lopez have been floated as potential opponents. Fans, analysts, and promoters alike are salivating at the prospect of these matchups, particularly a clash with Stevenson, which many see as one of the most anticipated fights in recent memory. Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. weighed in, noting, "Shakur's got to recognize that Tank is a different kind of fighter. Stevenson's skilled, highly technical, but Davis brings a unique power and explosiveness that sets him apart. It's a matchup that pits two undefeated titans against each other, Stevenson's tactical brilliance versus Davis's devastating knockout ability, and the consensus is that it would be a blockbuster." But Davis isn't entirely focused on that right now. "I can't really say where I'm at pound for pound," he admitted when asked about his standing in the sport. "I'm the type of guy who doesn't pay too much attention to that because I'm still in the mix. I just gotta keep my head grounded, stay focused, and go out there to put on a great performance every night. That's always been my goal." For him, the rankings and accolades can wait until the dust settles on his career. Right now, he's more concerned with staying true to himself and managing the grind. That grind, though, is part of what's pushing him toward this break. "It's a little draining," he confessed. "I just want to step back and recharge." Some speculate that he's losing interest in boxing altogether, but Davis insists that's not the case. "I still love the game," he said firmly. "I've been in a good space these last couple of weeks, especially in training camp. I wouldn't say I'm retiring for a long time, just taking a little break. You know, maybe go back to school, handle some business, things like that." He even jokingly mentioned needing a mattress sponsorship, showing that his sense of humor remains intact despite the heavier topics on his mind. Promoter Eddie Hearn, never one to shy away from an opinion, has dismissed the idea that Davis is losing his passion for boxing. Davis is seriously considering retirement, but many argue that he's too big of a star to walk away now. One of the most significant points brought up is that Davis has yet to fight Shakur Stevenson, which is considered one of the biggest matchups in boxing today. His career would feel incomplete to many if he were to retire without facing one of the best in his division. Promoter Eddie Hearn believes that this retirement talk is just a phase, a moment of frustration that will pass once Davis sees the vast opportunities still ahead of him. Tank's AIM. Massive talent, Hearn added. There are still plenty of big fights for him. Davis is still young, undefeated, and in his prime, so the idea of stepping away now seems premature to many who believe he has more to prove. Stevenson himself has chimed in, offering a mix of sympathy for Davis and competitive fire. "I get where Tank's coming from," Stevenson said. "Boxing's changed, man. It used to be fun, but now it's too political. It ain't about how good you are as a boxer anymore. Sometimes it's about who you know." Stevenson's frustration mirrors that of Davis, with both fighters expressing a disillusionment with the sport's business side. "It's a lame game now," Stevenson continued. "Back in the day, it was more competitive. Now, it's all about clout and politics." Despite this shared frustration, Stevenson still has his eye on a future bout with Davis. He'd love to get the fight in before any potential break for Tank, recognizing that a fight between them would be legacy-defining. "That's the fight everybody wants to see," Stevenson added. Another contender, Keyshawn Davis, has thrown his name into the ring, asserting that he's Tank's most worthy opponent. "I'm not chasing Tank," Davis said confidently. "I don't care about him like that. I'm 13-0 and the world knows me, not from fighting big names, but from kicking ass and taking belts." He went on to challenge Tank directly. "Tank knows I want to fight him. His coach knows. The boxing world knows. The question is, does Tank have the balls to fight me?" It's a bold challenge, and with Davis's rising star power, it adds even more intrigue to the list of potential matchups for Tank. Despite all the chatter, Davis has his own wish list for opponents. He's named Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Teofimo Lopez as fighters he'd like to face before stepping away from the sport. "It depends on how much longer I see myself fighting," Tank said when pressed on his timeline. "I got some people I want to get. Haney, yeah. Stevenson, yeah. Teo, not so much. If the fight presents itself, sure, but he's not really on my list." When asked if he'd forgotten anyone, Davis smirked and acknowledged Stevenson with a subtle nod, without saying his name directly. These are the bouts that could define his legacy, and Tank knows it. For his part, Devin Haney isn't buying into the retirement talk. "He's not retiring," Haney laughed when asked about Davis's recent comments. It seems that the prospect of Tank stepping away is still uncertain in the eyes of his fellow fighters. The boxing world remains on edge, eagerly awaiting Davis's next move, whether that's a long-anticipated break or another massive fight to solidify his place in the sport's history. There are still a lot of big fights to be made in the boxing world, and Tank Davis knows it. He's fully aware of the massive potential matchups out there, and many people believe that he won't walk away from the sport with unfinished business. One person who certainly sees that is Devin Haney. Haney recently spoke out, acknowledging Davis's remarkable career while also recognizing Lamont Roach's opportunity against Tank. He described it as a good moment for Roach, showing that there's respect for Davis's challengers, but also indicating that Tank's journey isn't over yet. As for Davis, he remains steadfast in his belief that he's still the top fighter in his division. "The only person that could beat me is me," he declared, showing immense confidence in his abilities. "Those other dudes, Shakur, Devin, they can't touch me. I've been in the ring with both of them, cracked both of them. Ain't no 50-50 fight." His statement wasn't just about his past performances. It was a bold declaration of his ongoing dominance in the sport. In fact, Davis has gone as far as to claim that no fighter currently on TV has better skills than him, a sentiment that reflects his belief that he is the best in the game right now. But this unwavering confidence comes with a layer of frustration. It's not just directed at his opponents, but at the sport itself. "Modern fans don't understand boxing," Davis vented. "They just root for who they like, not who's got the skills. Proving myself to them feels pointless." This frustration is a reminder of how difficult it can be to manage the expectations and pressures that come with being a top athlete in such a scrutinized sport. Beyond his career, Davis's desire for a break is deeply personal. "I want to do therapy," he revealed, speaking candidly about the emotional toll boxing has taken on him. "I want everything out of me so I don't even think about fighting again, not even getting angry. I got 2 daughters, and I want to be softer, more humble, you know?" This admission is striking, coming from a fighter known for his intense ferocity inside the ring. It speaks to a much deeper need for mental peace and balance in his life, rather than just the relentless grind of training camps and championship bouts. As Tank Davis prepares for what could be his final fights in 2025, he stands at a pivotal moment in his career. The question that looms over him is whether he will take on top opponents like Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, or someone else, and solidify his legacy among the all-time greats. Or will he stick to his plan, fight one more time, and then step away from the spotlight to focus entirely on himself and his well-being? Reflecting on a recent lapse in his camp, Davis said, "I was supposed to be in camp, and I wasn't." It's clear that his mind is not just on his physical preparation, but on what lies ahead, both in terms of his career and his personal life. The weight of his decision is felt in every word, and boxing fans around the world are waiting to see what direction the undefeated champion will choose.